I just appeared on the Piers Morgan show, or taped it, and it was obvious that he was looking for a clickbait. It was a clickbaity interview, that he wanted a moment on social media and in the trades that, oh my gosh, look, I got Don Lemon.
Meanwhile,
this is what led to you leaving CNN. Let's take a look at the clip.
She says people, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you talking? Wait.
That's not according to me.
Prime for what?
It depends. I mean, it's just like prime. If you look it up, if you Google when is a woman in her prime, it'll say 20s, 30s, and 40s.
If you had a do-over, would you say that again? I mean, what led you to say that?
Okay, Piers, let me just say this. I'm going to answer your question, but just so the audience knows, and I hope you don't cut this out. When I asked you what subjects you wanted to talk about, you know what you said to me? You said, I want to talk to you about freedom of speech in America and the response to Charlie Kirk's death. I agreed to come on your show, but I thought you would also stick by the subjects that you told me that you were going to talk about.
Just to be clear,
rather than try to ambush me with something.
Boy, you don't sit your stupid ass down. Who the f you think you is?
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Mika, and we're back for another Red Cup Talks, because this is where truth, pop culture, and politics meet. So I had to come on today and talk about our favorite Don Lemon. Don Lemon decided that he was going to go on Piers Morgan for an interview. And of course, he had to come by himself because he doesn't do panels. And I know the reason he doesn't do panels, because he does not want to be challenged on his stupid opinions. And so Piers Morgan's team obliged. However, what ends up happening is what always ends up happening with liberals. They can never take accountability for their actions, and they don't like to be called out. Go figure. I want you guys to see what happened on his interview that had Don Lemon squeezing his lemons. Watch.
This is what led to you leaving CNN. Let's take a look at the clip.
She says people, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you talking? Wait.
That's not according to me.
Prime for what?
It depends. I mean, it's just like prime. If you look it up, if you Google when is a woman in her prime, it'll say 20s, 30s, and 40s. I don't necessarily.
40s. So I got another.
I'm not saying
decade.
I agree with that. So I think she has to be careful about saying that.
When you watch that, Don, I happened to be watching that live, and I was like, "Whoa, what did you just say?" If you had a do-over, would you say that again? I mean, what led you to say that?
Okay, Piers, let me just say this. I'm going to answer your question, but just so the audience knows, and I hope you don't cut this out. When I asked you what subjects you wanted to talk about, you know what you said to me? You said, I want to talk to you about freedom of speech in America and the response to Charlie Kirk's death.
Yeah.
Not once did you mention that we were going to talk about CNN or whatever. So, and had I known that, I probably wouldn't have accepted this interview. You have invited me on many times, and I tell you, Piers, I know you. I would come on your show, but I don't do panels. And so when you said I'm not going to be involved in the panel, I agreed to come on your show. But I thought you would also stick by the subjects that you told me that you were going to talk about.
Just to be clear,
rather than try to ambush me with something.
Just to be clear,
So,
you and I haven't. Well, Don, just to be clear, you and I haven't had any conversation about your appearance here. You're talking about my team talking to you.
Yeah, no, and I saw you, Piers, in a restaurant, and I said, hey, Piers, good to see you.
Yeah.
I would come on your show, but I don't do panels.
Right.
And I said the same thing to your bookers.
There's only one of you.
And so when I asked you, right. Okay, and so, yes, and I said that's why I agreed to do it. But when you asked me, or when your team asked me what subjects, and I asked them 2 or 3 times, I have the text messages, what do you want to cover? Yeah. Not once was CNN mentioned. So I don't appreciate being ambushed. But let me answer your question.
Hang on 1 second. No, Don, hang on 1 second. Let's just be crystal clear about what's just happened. You brought up the subject of cancel culture. I asked you, did you feel your departure from CNN was an example of that? And you answered the question. And I think it's perfectly reasonable.
And I answered the question.
Perfectly reasonable in that if you'd said to me, I don't want to talk about it, fine. No, but so sorry. You said what you're going to say. By the way, we don't.
Disingenuous.
Don, we don't edit.
I don't like arguing like this. I'm not going to get into an argument with you. Piers, I think that's completely disingenuous. And I think anyone watching that.
What are you talking about?
And so if you will allow me, please.
What are you talking about?
Okay. Did you invite me here to interrupt me? Or are you going to let me?
I think you're being a complete dick, if I'm honest with you.
Okay.
I do.
Well, that's very kind and respectful of you.
It wasn't intended to be kind or
the
respectful.
hominem attack.
Now, Don Limon know he doesn't make any type of sense here. And the reason why he doesn't make any type of sense is because he said himself that he thought the subjects were going to be freedom of speech and to talk about Charlie Kirk. Well, this would be an example of freedom of speech. You were fired from CNN for saying that Nikki Haley was a woman past her prime. Yes, those liberal white women up there, they canceled you because they didn't like that you said past their prime, okay? They didn't like that you considered women who weren't in their 20s and 30s past their prime. So the China News Network audience decided that you had to go, Don Limon, and that is the reason why Piers Morgan brought it up, because it makes sense. It fits in the category that you and the left are pushing with Jimmy Kimmel of freedom of speech and being censored by the networks. Okay, so if that wasn't enough, Don Limon goes on his live and talks to his lemon drops about the whole Piers Morgan interview and how he felt. And of course, he does what he normally does, throw shade and glitter. Watch.
I just appeared on the Piers Morgan show or taped it, and it was obvious that he was looking for a clickbait. It was a clickbaity interview that he wanted a moment on social media and in the trades that, oh my gosh, look, I got Don Lemon. In the process, though, I think that you will see that he embarrassed himself. Piers, that was classless. Do better.
Don Limon cannot take any criticism, and he's a hypocrite because he's saying that Piers Morgan needs to do better and that this was so clickbaity and he just baited him in. Sir, you are the king of clickbaity. And when I say the king, I do mean the king, because he does a man on the street. And when he does the man on the street, he never just lets people answer the question. He has to lead them into the answers that he wants to present to his audience as if everybody thinks this way. And usually it worked. But this time with this young lady, it didn't work. I want you guys to see the clickbait nature that Don Limon subscribes to. Watch.
What do you think would happen to Charlie Kirk?
It's just messed up, totally messed up. You know, that was messed up. Like, nobody deserved that. He definitely didn't deserve that. He was a good guy.
You think he was a good guy?
I think he was.
You
Only
think?
Kirk
Good morals.
Captain Kirk.
The what?
The only Kirk you recognize is Captain Kirk. I don't know Charlie Kirk. I don't know who
You
that
don't
is.
know who it is?
I don't know who that is.
I know who it was. Like,
I only know about him when
all of us have flaws. I can't really tell you what to believe in or how to feel. Like, everybody's having a human experience. Like, why knock him for having this human experience or what he believe in?
Even though even though he says things that are anti-women, black, all that.
I can't judge him for that.
You can't.
I can't judge him for that. But I can use judgment. He didn't deserve that.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a human being.
Yeah.
You are very spiritual.
You know, yeah.
You
can't
sound
go
like
left. I can't go left with that.
No, you sound like you mean left, going
Yeah,
left,
like,
not left.
Because I'm
right.
humanity.
Yeah.
I'm humanity and love first.
No, I love that. So the first person I spoke to here didn't want to be on camera, and he said, "I can't judge him because I'm not God." And so let him, let whatever the reaction is. If the government wants to give him a state-like funeral, if they let him do it because God is the only judge. And
Yeah, like nobody really can judge him.
yeah,
And like I kind of like seen him before all of this happened, but I don't see whatever everybody else was seeing. So
yeah.
yeah.
Hey, that's how you feel.
Have a good
It's
one.
nice to
Okay.
see you.
All right, so last but not least, you have Don Limon and his man on the street, but he's doing it inside of the Capitol building. However, what's crazy about all this is even when he was told that, Congress people have the right to put whatever they want outside their door, he had the nerve to say, well, these pictures of Charlie Kirk are paid for by the taxpayers, when he doesn't even know that. However, I want you to see exactly what he said, and then we'll talk about it. Watch.
Here's another one. And another one. So we've been walking through the Capitol. We've been seeing posters here or either on the wall, Charlie Kirk, American hero. Folks are saying the Congress people, Democrat and Republican, say my colleagues have a right to post whatever they want. But just so you know, these are taxpayer dollars. That's some of the concern that this is being used for. However, we are seeing these all over the Capitol. And that is what's going on in the wake of the tragic death of Charlie Kirk. How do you feel about this? Let us know in the comments.
So Don Limon has a problem with Congress people having these posters outside of their offices talking about Charlie Kirk as an American hero. And then he said congressmen and women actually agreed that they can actually put whatever they want outside their own office. So once he conceded that point, he then goes to say, well, this is being paid for by tax dollars. And this is where I draw the line with Don Limon, because Don Limon does not have a problem with using tax dollars for illegal immigrants. He doesn't have a problem with using tax dollars for that. He doesn't have a problem with using tax dollars to house them, to feed them, to clothe them, to give them a whole way of life that they don't even give Americans. He never once said anything about using tax dollars for that. But a man who was shot having public discourse with other people that agreed or disagreed with him on a college campus, this is where you draw the line at. You draw the line at somebody putting a poster outside their office saying he is an American hero, and it probably cost them all of $10 to $20 at Office Depot or something like that, Staples, whatever. You have a problem with that, but you don't have a problem with people who cross the Rio Grande to get here and take all of our resources. You have absolutely no problem with that. You don't have a problem with us spending billions of dollars to actually, get people here through immigration, actually house them, keep them, feed them. You don't have a problem with that, but you have a problem with people who are American. Wow. So here are my thoughts. Let's pour it up. Don Lemon is a reckless liberal that was canceled by China News Network, CNN, and that was because he said something that they did not like. Don Lemon, the last few days, has spent his time talking about the canceling of Jimmy Kimmel, saying that the network only pulled him because the president wanted him to, saying that he has the right to say whatever he wanted to say. Well, where was that fight for you, Don Lemon, on CNN? And that's why he didn't want to bring it up on Piers Morgan, because Piers Morgan used it to call him on his own hypocrisy. He should have called CNN out for censorship. But of course he didn't do that. And of course he's not going to call them out now because he gets to go and do commentary every now and then. They throw him a little check. So he's not going to tell the truth about what actually happened. But CNN is a private corporation, so they had the right to get rid of Don Lemon, okay? He did not fit with their leftist ideologies when he said what he said about Nikki Haley not being in her prime. So are we for freedom of speech or are we not for freedom of speech? And I think the left only wants to be outraged when it's on Donald Trump, when it's on the conservatives, when it's with the Republicans, because when it's with the left, it's A-OK. When it's with the left, it's perfectly fine. When it's China News Network, CNN, MSDNC 13, you're told to stop whining by the left. So stop whining, Don Lemon. We actually don't care about anything you say. We know it doesn't have any common sense in it. We don't care. But you know who does care? The left, which is the reason why they censored you, which is the reason why they got you fired. You said nothing then, and you issued an apology. So just repeat that process. Say nothing now. You guys get down in the comments, like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you think about Don Lemon on Piers Morgan's show. Let me know what you think about Don Lemon's man on the street, and let me know what you think about Don Lemon going to the Capitol, going in front of these congressmen and women's offices, looking at Charlie Kirk's pictures on boards and on the wall outside of their offices, saying that these are being paid for by taxpayer dollars and acting as if there's something wrong with praising an American citizen. A shame. You guys get down in the comments, like, comment, and subscribe. Go ahead and like one of these videos, watch them, and let me know what you think about those too. Thank you for your support. It's your girl Mika, and I'm out. Peace.